What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Ramsey Ranks, your rapid destination for all things fantasy football. Today I'm going to be going over my general draft strategy, who I'm taking, where, and why. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start at the very beginning, very top of the draft. First couple rounds, I'm going running back. So if you look at last year's finishes, right, 8 of your top 10 running backs were drafted in the first 3 rounds last year. The 2 exceptions were Derrick Henry, who was hurt at the beginning of the year and had some question marks around his injury, and Austin Eckler, who had question marks because of Melvin Gordon and his contract situation. So if I look at that, I'm telling myself, if I want a top 10 running back, if I want those running backs on my team that are going to set the foundation, I'm going to be having to take those guys in the first 3 rounds. So now you parlay that with the fact that after the 3rd round, the running back class gets kind of murky, right? You have James Conner, Chris Carson, and then after that you have a significant drop-off. There are a couple guys that I like, Kareem Hunt. I do like James White now that Cam Newton is in town. Other than that, I'm really not feeling too many guys. There's some talk about Man Ppr maybe giving you some value, but top 10 upside, I don't see that in that pool after the 3rd round. So you parlay those 2 things, right? The fact that if you want a top 10 running back, you're having to draft that guy in the first 3 rounds, and after the first 3 rounds in this year's draft, it's not looking too good. I'm thinking to myself, first 3 rounds, I'm going running back, running back, running back. So once I have those 3 running backs, those running backs are going to be the foundation of my team, I'm going straight wide receiver. I'm not going to be going for tight ends or quarterbacks. I'll get more into that later. Right, look at last year's finishes. You have guys in your 11 to 17 range that are giving you 14 to 15 points per game. Guys like Devontae Parker, guys like Robert Woods, guys like Jarvis Landry. Even if you look at your top 10 guys, you have guys like Chris Godwin and Cooper Kupp, who are late round picks, who really gave you that wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 upside. And if you had taken those guys and taken your running back at the very beginning, your team was set. So the one thing I'm looking to do after I take those running backs is just to dip into the wide receiver. Last year was considered to be a very deep wide receiver class, and this year, by most people, and I agree, it's looking like it might be even deeper. You have guys like Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, even a guy like N'Keal Harry, who isn't really getting much buzz but could have that potential 2nd-year breakout season. That's something that I really like. And even if you look at last year, right, let's say you took a guy like Michael Thomas in the 1st round. If you then went and took James Conner in the 2nd and Damian Williams in the 3rd, you probably didn't do much with that team. Your running backs are the foundation, and if you miss on those guys, it's going to be really hard to stay afloat with just wide receivers. So after I take my 3 running backs, my 4 to 5 wide receivers, just in case I miss on one, the main thing I'm trying to do is take 2 tight ends. Why 2 and not 1? Well, because if you miss on that 1 tight end, and if you take that risky approach, only draft 1, and you miss, the waiver wire is typically not an option, which is kind of different for quarterback, and I'll get into that later. Right, last year, you look at the fact that you had guys like Mark Andrews and Darren Waller who finished as elite tight ends last year, going the later rounds, but you also had guys like Kyle Rudolph, Trey Burton, Jimmy Graham, who were complete busts, and if you had drafted those guys, you were just, trying to fill in that position every single week off the waiver wire. You're not able to do that. 2 guys that I really like in the later rounds this year, Jared Cook, who finished the year off very strong, and Blake Jarwin, who's walking into a lot of targets in that Cowboys offense with Randall Cobb and Jason Witten both being gone. So after that, guys, it kind of becomes a toss-up, right? If you're a brainiac and you think that there's this deep sleeper that you know about that no one else knows about, then go ahead and take that guy. Or if you're seeing into the future and you think this guy's going to get hurt, you're going to pick up that running back's handcuff, go ahead and do that. The only thing I will say is draft 1 quarterback, right? Try and stock up on as many running back and wide receivers, tight ends as you can, just because if you look at the quarterback class, especially if you're in a 1 quarterback league, you're typically able to get guys off the waiver wire that can produce for you, right? Look at last year, weeks 14 to 16, you had guys like Ryan Tannehill, playoffs, Ryan Fitzpatrick, guys like Mitch Trubisky who did well for you. Earlier in the season, mid-year, you had guys like Kirk Cousins who produced for you. And then, first couple weeks, you had guys like Gardner Minshew who were doing well, right? So it's a position where, there's always someone off the waiver wire who you can pick up, who can put numbers up for you. So I would say, draft 1, and if you miss on them, you can draft another one. So let me know what you guys think about this video overall, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one.